Hey everyone, it's Bees. Well, Blizzard just added Temple of the Jade Serpent to the Mythic Plus pool in Dragonflight. And I'm going to show a video of a run I did in a pug. And just go over it because everyone who does this instance on live has done it in like time walking or leveling up. And they don't realize a lot of the trash packs have abilities and mechanics you have to deal with. So I'm just going to kind of go over what I've seen from the trash. They also did some changes to this first boss here. So anyways, these big water elemental guys here have this AoE they throw out that also leaves a magic debuff on you that does AoE damage. I don't, like I said, I don't ever remember that from doing this while leveling up or even back in the day in Mystic Pandaria, but that is something to worry about. Also, there are humanoid mobs in these groups that cast a spell called Hydrolance, I think it's called. Um, if that's not interrupted, it just does a big chunk of single target damage to a person. So, as a healer, you gotta kind of have to watch out for that because that Hydrolance, on top of the big AoE the water elemental does, can just, chunk someone down. Now, I don't think this trash packet was there in the original instance. So this is something new. They added this trash pack right before the boss. Which is one big water elemental and two of those guys that cast Hydrolance. So it can be a dangerous trash pack. As you can see, we're on a level 10. It does have Fortified. But this is just level 10, and you can already see just some people's HP dropping. And now we go to the first boss. And what has changed about this boss is they got rid of the ad phase at the start. It just goes straight into phase 2. So you don't have to sit there, giant water elemental guy comes out. You have to kill them and do it 4 times in a row. But if you don't know this boss, you don't want to stand in the water because every once in a while the water explodes up and will knock you in the air. Every once in a while he charges up this move called Wash Away he's doing now. He'll look at a random spot and just start shooting this giant beam of water. And if you get caught in it, it basically kills you. So look out for that. Other than that, he just puts random circles around people. You have to run out and it drops like a little tornado. You can see 2 of them behind me here. You do not want to drop that in melee because you want to be as close to the boss as you're doing the run around the room for Wash Away. But other than that, the boss casts his Hydrolance every once in a while. You just want to interrupt that just so people don't take damage. And I'm sure on high Tyrannicals, that Hydrolance will hurt. So after you kill the boss, you go run over here to the right side. And once again, I'm learning things about these trash packs. They actually have mechanics you have to deal with. This first group of trash, they throw out a debuff on people that just really hurts. And they throw it out a lot. There it is on the tank. And the person right underneath the tank. And look, here's another one coming out. It can be dispelled. It's a magic effect. But as you can see, they throw it out a lot. So you got to be on top of your interrupts and stuns on this group. Because that debuff hurts a lot. Also, all these trash packs, one of the mobs, or possibly multiple, have an AoE fear. Once again, never realized that was a mechanic. I actually have the teleport here on one of the characters from back in Mystic Pandaria during challenge mode. So I did this in challenge mode back in the day and didn't even remember about the AoE fear. It's called Haunting Scream or something like that. Or maybe Haunting Gaze. I can't remember. But just make sure to interrupt that 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 AoE fear because it can be annoying. I will say it does seem like the timer in this dungeon is very, very lenient. As you can see, we're on our way to the second boss. Oh, the AoE fear got off. And we got feared into the next group. That I think we pulled through. But yeah, other than that, there's some circles around people. I'm just saying, all I'm saying is just make sure to get to kick that fear because that's probably going to be a wipe on higher keys if you don't kick the fear. Now, I've done this instance 3 times on beta, and I've always gotten the same boss here. So I think they made it so you always get the same boss on Mythic Plus. Or maybe it's a weekly rotation and then the second boss will come in. Don't know. But this boss is broken on beta. He doesn't do what he's supposed to do. Now, if you don't know how this boss works, there's 2 bosses, Strife and Peril. And as you start damaging one, he starts to build up a stack of a debuff that when it gets to 10, he gains an immunity shield and he starts doing AoE damage to the group. So the idea is you're supposed to bounce back and forth, and when they're not getting attacked, the debuff goes away. So you're supposed to bounce back and forth between the 2 of them. Well, it doesn't seem like it does the AoE damage. And also, the one starts to stack a debuff on a player that says they deal more damage than healing. And they also start to take a ticking damage. Here's me looking at the debuff. That doesn't seem to work either. I don't know if the debuff actually amps you up, but it definitely doesn't damage you because the rogue has 14 stacks of it right now. And here's me checking again. It says it's supposed to be inflicting 1,300 damage to him. Or not 1,300, 130,000 damage to him every 2 seconds. And it obviously was not. So, right now this boss is broken. He's not doing what he's supposed to do. But, like I said, the idea of the boss is, you can see the left one is big and angry. We can't damage him. And the idea is you're supposed to bounce back and forth, not make them both angry at the same time, or it will be too much damage for the healer to heal through. But as you can see, their abilities are just not really doing damage. And I was more sitting there trying to figure out their abilities and why they weren't doing damage. They've added more trash packs here, I think. I don't think this trash pack was here in the original dungeon. There's that haunting scream you gotta interrupt. Someone got it. But other than that, these mobs also do 2 other things that can really hurt. They can channel an ability on someone that seems to like hit you for like 60 to 80% of your health over the duration. And it's a very short duration of like just 3 seconds channel. And then also they put a debuff around someone. You just saw me have it there for a little bit. It's a circle around me. It chunks you for about half your life. And then it leaves a curse on you that says you absorb the next X amount of healing. And luckily, me being a druid, I can dispel that curse. But here it is on someone. And I'm just trying to heal through the absorb and get them back up. I'm going to have it on me again. Oh, they must have killed the mob before it goes off. But it is very important in this room to kick the interrupt. Because if you don't, someone's probably running into another group. Let's just go ahead here to the boss. Alright, this boss is pretty easy, but he's kind of... Oh, I'm not on the boss yet. I thought it was. He's kind of overtuned in the second phase. So phase 1, once the tank decides to go in. Come on, Mr. Tank, you can do it. Phase 1's the fire phase. He just puts a debuff on the tank that needs to be dispelled. It does a little bit of damage, but it doesn't seem to be like a lot, but you just want to dispel it right away. There it is. Dispel it. Speeds. Other than that, he sends out these fire lines. Don't get hit by them. Once he hits 70%, I think it is. It might be lower than that. He goes... Oh. Might be 70%. He goes into phase 2, which he hits the tank really hard with an ability that leaves an enormous dot on the tank, and then afterwards he follows it up with a high tank buster. So just know your tanks are going to get crushed. Here's that debuff. Other than that, the boss throws out waves that leaves void zones on the ground. That's the scariest phase. Other than that, the boss does a frontal. Please, Mr. Rogue, don't stand in front of a dragon. This game's only been out for 17 years, and the number 1 rule is to never stand in front of or behind a dragon. But yeah, phase 2 is the only scary part about that boss. The tank will get walloped by that debuff, and it's followed up by a huge hit on the tank. So it's 2 huge hits on the tank right in a row. I think the tank can avoid the second hit if they can like leap out or jump out, but it's scary for the tanks. Then we go on to the last boss, which I remember the last boss actually being kind of scary, but he must be undertuned because he's not really that scary. I'll explain his abilities. Phase 1, all he does is he throws out some debuffs around people that just leaves a circle around you that pulses damage around you. He throws them out faster than a healer can dispel them, so just don't stand on top of your friends. Every once in a while, he runs into the middle of the room, goes immune, and then everyone has these ads that comes out of them. They one fixates on every person. They hit you while they're out. There's also a bunch of AoE damage going out. If you still have the circle around you, just don't stand on top of your friends. But then other than that, that's really all the boss does. Funny enough, right now in the beta, this circle that gets thrown on players can also be thrown on players' pets. I was with a demonology warlock in one group, when they have the million imps around them. All his imps were getting the circle around him, and it was funny watching the warlock trying to run from his own imps that were getting the circles around him. Kind of funny. But the boss is super simple. And that's really Temple of the Jade Serpent. We had 20 minutes left on the timer. I mean, we didn't have all the fixes you're supposed to have, but the trash was definitely way harder than the bosses, I think, in this instance. That third boss, kind of undertuned. The second boss is not doing what he's supposed to do. Third boss, the final boss can get a little scary when the ads come out here. As you can see, people's health bars actually drop low. But yeah, there's a preview of Temple of the Jade Serpent. Hope everyone liked this video. See you next time.